It's a brand new week. We're back with some fresh discussion, a whole new Speedway conversation. It's episode 26. Welcome back to 360 Speedway. You are fit and well and had a good week out there. Thanks for looking in as we bring you episode 26. Some more good old-fashioned Speedway discussion made especially for you. Episode 26, I can barely believe it actually. That now means that we have been running 360 Speedway on a weekly basis for a full 6 months. Quite the journey, quite the achievement for us. Thank you very much for supporting what we do and for sticking with us over that journey. Please do help us grow. Please bring us to the attention of your Speedway friends and family. Okay, episode 26, let's get on with it then. Some fresh Speedway discussion for you. So let's start by introducing this week's lineup of Speedway punditry excellence, as I like to say. So first up, he is back. He brings great insight, wisdom from both sides of the Speedway fence. I think he wrote this, not me. He doesn't shirk any big questions. He is the rinky-dink panther himself, CJ Carol Johnson. Welcome back, Carol.
Evening, Derek. Evening, 360ers.
You fitting well, Carol?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Next up, stepping back into the 360 breach. Another hard-fought campaign now well and truly behind him. Looking forward for some more insight from our friend and yours. It's Lambo. Simon Lambert. Good evening, Simon.
Evening, everybody.
All good with you? I should have introduced you by saying bonjour, Simon. How's your French doing these days?
Yeah, it's all right, mate. Thank you. It'll be better next year.
And completing this week's lineup, over the weeks we've learned that he is as modest as he is gritty, telling it as it is, week on week here on 360 Speedway. Hey, up to you, Nigel Crabtree.
Hey up, Derek. Hey up, everybody.
Collectively, this week's handlebar heroes. Usual disclaimer applies, although I use slightly different words every single week over 26 weeks, just to say that the views and opinions expressed by us are those of us as individuals and not necessarily related or associated to any Speedway affiliations that we may have or have had. Something like that. I'm sure that's a different words that I use every single week, but you know what I mean. All right, listen, I hope you enjoyed last week's free-flowing approach, views on the news. Undoubtedly, we will return to that sort of format. We're hopefully a month or so away from this year's AGM, and I'm quite sure there will be weeks and weeks and weeks worth of information to pick over, and I'm sure we will apply the sort of more free-flowing views on the news format to pick over all of that information. And I hope you also latched on to and enjoyed a little bit of an exclusive we had last week, thanks to Dean Felton, around the prospects, fingers crossed, touching wood, of a return for Cradley Speedway. That would be fantastic. Dean's nursing himself over some man flu. Good luck to you, Dean. Hope to see you back on 360 shortly. Okay, back to this week. Not for the first time, it won't be the last time. There were some dramatic moments to enjoy, to savour, in last week's televised Premiership Grand Final between Ipswich and Leicester. Congratulations to the Witches for lifting their first league title in some 27 long years. And a few decisions for the under pressure referee Seth Perkins to make on the night. So I thought we would take a look back at some of those decisions, but under the guise of the topic of conversation, we're going to discuss there's contact and there's contact, is what I'm going to call it. So let me click the little graphics button just to focus us on those couple of words. Guys, the whole premise of wanting to talk about this, and you know, I've never ridden a Speedway bike. You guys have obviously experienced it and you know this inside out. But you know, sometimes I think Speedway fans find it difficult to understand when a rider becomes under challenge there is contact and there is contact, right? So sometimes there's a mere flick of a dirt deflector, or maybe a marginal rub of a tyre or something like that. And in other occasions, of course, there's some full-on body contact as well. But yeah, it's all fast-paced. It's all split-second movements and all split-second decisioning for the referees. But my opening question, and Simon, I'll bring you in on this first. So my opening question is, generally speaking, Simon, can you just help get underneath that topic subject, contact versus contact? Help us understand a little bit the variance of situations that you might find yourself in, Simon.
Well, obviously, we're all there to sort of put a show on. We're not there to kill each other and knock each other off. But listen, some riders do go down pretty simple. Some people will, nearly need a right hook before they're on the floor. But it is a bit of a tricky one. But I think, the contact now with the referees, the thing is the referees are quite fortunate. They've got the streams, they've got the TV there. They're allowed to go and look at them before they make a decision. A little bit similar to, say, VAR. So really the referee shouldn't get them wrong. I'm not saying they don't get them wrong, because some they do get wrong. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's how much you want to have a cuddle with the track. I see it as I'm one of these that will crash and I'll keep holding my bike and I'll try to take the impact rather than bend the bike. But yeah, some people are happy to jump and others not. I just think it's more when a rider looks over his right shoulder. It's more, there's only one place where you go, and that's like a professional foul to me. So yeah, some people will see it different, but that's how I sort of see it.
Nigel, same question to you. Maybe you'll answer it in a slightly different way from Simon, but there's different shades of grey, Nigel, isn't there, in terms of contact and the kind of physicality of it?
Yeah, like Simon says, today you've got the video replay. There's no reason to get it wrong. And I think today, if there is any sort of contact, minimal, if there's contact, somebody, that man that's made the contact is going to go. That's how it is nowadays, end of. The other thing, like Simon says, sometimes somebody steams up underneath you, you're not ready for it, you're not expecting it, and more out of fear than anything else, and you drop off. And without a doubt, it's happened for years, it will continue to happen, and it will be a deliberate professional foul, whatever you want to call it. That will happen. It always has done, and it always will do. But I think nowadays there only has to be a very minute amount of contact, and that rider's going to be excluded. I don't know. That's how it seems. But sometimes some riders, again, like Simon says, some riders go down very easy. Others, as we've seen on TV, they do try to stay up, and you do know if they'd have gone down, there's every chance it'd have got stopped, got rerun. That's just how it is, isn't it? They'll never get every decision 100% spot on, will they? You never quite know for definite. There's only one man knows, and that's the man that's going down, whether he could stay up or not. And he's not going to tell you he could stay up if he's gone down, is he?
Carol, just to bring you in, Nigel said something there which actually anticipated a question that I was going to ask. So, apart from full-on contact or some physical contact with the bike or with another rider to bring a rider down, Nigel mentioned there, I think, that the element of surprise. So it is something that I think I've seen out on track, where sometimes a rider hasn't anticipated a rider going round them or close to the fence or something like that, and are taken by surprise. Can that really truly unsettle you enough to potentially come off your bike?
Yeah, obviously, I think there's two ways of looking at that. If you're the rider in front and you're turning into the corner and you're dropping the bike into the corner, and somebody comes steaming up the inside of you, takes your leg or the front wheel, obviously at that point you don't expect them to be coming in that hard, because they know that you're making the turn, but that happens. So yeah, it takes you by surprise in that way. Obviously, around the outside, if somebody's going for a big blast around the outside and you're coming off of the turn, off turn 2 or off turn 4, and you're moving towards the fence, and all of a sudden they're there halfway down the back straight, and you tangle, you don't probably expect them to be there, because you feel that you've probably not left them enough room to be there. But we've seen, in Grand Prix that riders will put themselves in them positions. And I think, going back to the minimal contact, I think Grand Prix have probably brought that to the fore, the minimal contact, because you see them going into the corner and they flick the dirt deflector on the front wheel. The rider who has had the dirt deflector on his front wheel, he goes down. What does the referee do? Because there's contact with the dirt deflector, that means the rider who's gone past him or has hit him has to be excluded. And I think, going back probably 10 years, would that have been the case? You would have stayed on. Now they're too easy to get off the bike, to get somebody else excluded, because there's so much on the line in the Grand Prix. And the trouble is that filters then down into Polish leagues, into our leagues, into every league, and you get the same thing happen. Minimal contact, and you go down. It makes the ref have to make a decision, rightly or wrongly. We've been on the end of decisions that, certainly we had one at Edinburgh, I can remember, with Jack Holder, when Jack was with us. He had half his spokes taken out of his front wheel going into turn 3. He got excluded for going down, and we showed the referee the wheel, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It's there because they can only get one angle of it. They can only see the riders going into the corner. They haven't got the TV at the time, not on a normal race night. So it's very difficult for the rider who's being passed if the referee can't see it. It does make it very difficult for the referees. They're only human. They do make mistakes. You have to accept it. But I do think nowadays probably riders do go down far too easily. I bet Nigel will probably tell you that they was bumping shoulders and handlebars down the straight and into the corner, and nobody wanted to give an inch, and they'd both probably end up in the fence, or they'd both make the corner, and dust yourself off, shake your hands, and away you go again. So it was one of them. And I think I do think there's a lot riding on obviously Grand Prix with that sort of thing, and I do think minimal contact is riders do go down too easy sometimes.
Nigel, do you have any views on that? You are very supportive, Nigel, I think, of modern speedway, and you don't critique it very much in terms of the riders and their capability, etc. But have you noticed have you noticed any difference in the use of falling off tactically?
It's certainly, I think it's a lot softer than it used to be, put it like that. Obviously, the one what everybody talks about is Nicky, isn't it? Nicky Pedersen. Nicky gave you nothing. And the problem with Nicky was all the referees knew what Nicky's had a reputation for. So if Nicky went near anybody, he didn't have to touch him and he were gone, wasn't he? Wrongly so. But that was Nicky. He was an hard man, very hard man, and probably a bit more than hard at times. But, them riders all knew what Nicky Pedersen were like. So, to my mind, you don't give him the chance to be like that with you. You wouldn't dream of going down the fence side at side of Nicky Pedersen, coming out of a corner. You wouldn't do it. You'd wait while you could pass him and get gone by him. You wouldn't ride down the side of him, because you know what would happen, because as Nicky Pedersen says, he's there not to make friends but to win world titles. And that was his aim, and what did he win? 3. So he can't have been that wrong, can he?
Very true. Listen, let's have a look. As promised, let's have a look at some of the incidents from last Thursday night at Vauxhall, the grand final, second leg, Ipswich versus Leicester. There was a 2 or 3, I think, incidents that we're going to have a look at. And incidentally, I'm I'm only using this footage. I'm not saying there's anything unusual or exceptional about these incidents. These are the same types of things that you will see at your local track any meeting of the year, really. But I'm just using this footage to sort of example the type of things that we typically have to deal with, and typically referees will have to try and adjudicate on. So the first one, I'm just going to press play in a second. The first one is Tom Brennan's attempt to pass Ryan Douglas early in one of the early heats. So I've muted the sound just so that you guys can be audible. So this one, to me, to the uninitiated of the four of us, looks like, I thought, a kind of soft, fairly minor contact. Tom Brennan's dirt deflector potentially on Ryan's leg. Simon, what's your view? You'll tell me I'm completely wrong.
Oh, I won't tell you you're wrong. Listen, I saw that coming, and like Brennan is so narrow over the start line. Obviously, normally you sort of gate 3 or gate 4 depending on the track, but he come over nearly gate 1, especially definitely gate 2, nearly gate 1. And I think I remember I said to my lad, guy, I was like, oh, there's going to be a crash. And obviously there was a crash, but it was a bit of a nothing crash, really. But yeah, I think ref made the right decision, to be fair, minimal. I think, in all honesty, I think Dougie's messed his pants, to be fair, and didn't expect it, which is a bit of a shock to the system because he was probably narrow anyway. But, it probably did Dougie good because he got up and then was incredible after that, to be fair, to Elite 15. Yeah. So I actually think that was a good decision. Yeah, like I say, Brennan's rode it narrow, but he can turn a bike on a sixpence. I'm not being rude. If that was me, I'd have just had to have gone through him because I can't turn a bike on a sixpence. But Brennan's very good. He's good ability on a bike, and he's turned that bike inside out. And good move.
So in Simon's view, the right verdict from the referee, and Ryan was maybe went down a little bit too easily, Simon. Not putting words in your mouth.
I think he went down. He didn't get down on purpose. There was perhaps minimal contact. But I think the ref got it right. Like I say, if Brennan's brave enough to ride gate 1, gate 2, and he turned it, it's not like he got to the bend and he's like gone like a bucking bronco. He's turned it inside out and lifted because he's kind of. I don't know what the word is, and he's gone over the expectation sort of mark. Do you know what I mean? But the fact he's held his line and he's been smooth around the corner, good decision. Okay,
Carol or Crabby, any different views on that particular one?
No, I think with Ipswich is a funny place because they've altered that first bend. As we've known, they've took the line in. It sort of gives you a false. It's almost like a false white line, and people, especially like with Dougie there, he's probably not expecting Brennan to come up the inside like he did because it is so difficult to turn the bike in that corner because it almost comes to a point. I always said to Simon when he was there, Simon struggled at Ipswich, and I always said to him, don't ride the white line, ride the fence. Like, use the fence as a guide, not the white line, because you come in far too tight and then lock yourself up, and it's horrible. And I think Dougie was in the same position. He didn't expect Brennan to be on that line, and it caught him by surprise. And I think a little bit of contact, he's gone down. Again, like I said, TV's there. It could have gone either way, couldn't it? But I think right decision.
Good stuff. Okay, let's move on. The next one, I think, is...
Just change it, just 1 second, Derek.
Yeah, sorry, Cabby.
You must remember Shawfield when they fetched the line in there, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, and who was the man going into the third turn? And that went to a point, didn't it? That went right to a point. But Mick Powell, he was better than anybody going into that third turn, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and Mick,
Sean wasn't bad. Sean Courtney wasn't bad.
Sean was good, but Mick Powell or Mickey P, he could get right round that, and that went to a point, and it was pretty similar to what the Ipswich thing have done. In fact, Glasgow was a lot more to a point than Ipswich was, but no, I'd have to agree with what Simon Carl says. The referee, there was contact and he had to go, didn't he? But it was a little bit of a soft get off from Dougie, really, wasn't it? But if he hadn't have gone down, I don't think they'd have stopped the race, would they?
See, I think that's exactly the point of this discussion, right? Because it's interesting. You've just said, Nigel. You just said maybe a kind of soft lay down by Dougie, and Simon kind of suggested that he might have been taken by surprise, but it wasn't strong enough contact and absolutely have to go down. But and that's the kind of insight that I think a lot of supporters are lacking. You know, we have our views on it, but never having been in that position either way, it's difficult to know just how impactful, how unsettling a little bit of touch can be on you on the rider. So it's fascinating to hear you guys talking about it.
I think more than anything, like Simon says, it was an element of surprise because Dougie wasn't wide, and for Tom to come underneath him like he did.
Back to that surprise thing again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on. The next one, I think, is. Go on, Simon.
If I remember rightly, Kyle Howarth was in the lead. When Dougie fell off, Kyle was in the lead. I'm pretty certain of that.
I think you might
be right. Rerun, I think they got a 5-1 or a 4-2. So at the end of the day, it cost Leicester a couple of points, which I'm not saying cost them the title because the best team won it, to be fair, but just saying.
Yeah, no, good point, Simon. Good point. Oh, the next one, the second of the three we're going to look at was Danny King's move on Sam Masters a little bit later on. So we'll let Ryan walk off, and then we'll Danny and Sam we're going to see on screen shortly. That's still the Brennan and Douglas one. It was a dramatic night. You know, it was a cracking night and a good finale. I think a nice dramatic finale to the end of the Premiership season. Right, here's the next one. So this is maybe a lap or two. I can't remember, and we will see Mr. King get up close and personal with Mr. Masters. It was a very spectacular come-off, I've got to say.
He styled it out well, didn't he?
He did. I think it runs a couple of laps, doesn't it, before the incident? And you could see Danny was really working that sort of wider line at Vauxhall. And you know, lap by lap, you could see he was going to put in a challenge on Sam. And Simon, you'll have been out on track with these guys, so Sam's no slouch, right? So even just to make up ground and put in a challenge on him is quite a achievement.
Sam's one of them. He's so quick from the starts. He sometimes doesn't look that fast, but he's so smooth and stylish. I mean, he's even styled his crash out.
Yeah. So listen, I'll leave this open to you guys. Just jump in and comment on it. What was your views at the time? What's your views now when you see it back?
Did he actually make contact with him? I can't remember.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm sure he takes his leg. Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably a little bit more of an easy decision for the referee than the Tom Brennan one, I would think.
I think this is a reasonable view of it. A bit more of impact. I mean, you can always see Sam's leg being taken from under him, right?
Yeah, I think that was a pretty straightforward decision for the referee, really, wasn't it? I think.
So Simon, you're if you were from Danny King's perspective there, so Sam's in front, doesn't necessarily know to expect that challenge from Danny. Is that just it's an obvious thing to say? It's a misjudgment from Danny, right? What did Danny do wrong, Simon?
I think it's a misjudgment. Yeah. It's like, Danny's a lovely lad and Sam's not one just to jump off, and Danny's certainly not one to go through you. But I think what you got to remember, you're sort of lap 3 there, so you're kind of at your peak, like on speed there. Obviously, your first lap's always your slowest, but then your second lap you're building, your third lap you're still trying to build. You're going flat out in turn 3, and obviously Danny's done enough laps around there. And the thing is, what people forget is a race is a minute, and sometimes you don't get a chance in that minute to make a move, to have a sniff. So if you do get a sniff, sometimes it's a bit shit or bust, really, isn't it, to be fair? And he's done the right thing, right decision. Yeah, he touched him, he knocked him off as such. But I don't think Danny's done it maliciously. He's just literally built his speed up, he's got momentum, he's got his chance, and he's had to take it, because if we never took a chance... It's not like Danny can think, oh God, I'm going to knock him off here. I'm going to have to just touch my brakes, because we ain't got brakes. So, nothing malicious in it. Right decision. Danny excluded. And, yeah, just one of them. Take your chance. Sometimes some you win, some you lose. And like I say, with these cameras, they showed 10 different replays, 10 different angles, you know. So again, yeah, just one of them, but nothing in it, nothing malicious in it at all.
No, not at all. Simon, we had a conversation a couple of episodes ago about the playoffs and how more cutthroat, for want of a better expression, that the playoff finals can be, because because the whole season depends on the outcome of those couple of meetings. And if that same move or Danny had been lining up that move on a regular league match, is it fair to say that Danny might have decided to check out of it and not dive in there?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No. At the end of the day, when you ride a speedo bike,
you're in
or you're out. If you are not 100% committed, you're more of a danger to yourself and the other three. Like we've always said this, all the fans that are happy to slate us when we have performed bad as such, we don't go to make numbers up. We go to earn money. We go to put an entertainment show on. Like I say, you are 110% committed, otherwise you might as well not put your helmet on and leave your house in your van that day. So no, I 100% agree that Sam would have done the same thing in a league match. Danny would have done the same thing in a league match. Obviously, it's the playoffs, the hype, the build-up, etc. They're committed guys. Do you know what I mean? So I think it matters where it goes.
Adds to it a little bit more.
Of course it does.
Carol, can I ask you a question, Carol? This is to dispel some misapprehension or misunderstanding. So I believe that some Speedway fans, and it might be ones who are maybe newer to the sport, there are some, they might believe that, given the dangers of Speedway, that Speedway is discouraged from being a contact sport. So contact is not allowed in Speedway, but that's not the case. That's never been the case. I just want you to kind of confirm that out loud, that the Speedway is not a non-contact sport, right?
No, well, it can't be because of what it is. You can't. You have to have some form of contact at some point, because it goes with that one with Danny. Danny's carrying so much speed into the corner, and Sam, you can see, is nowhere near as quick. Sam wants to come across the corner. Danny wants to ride in to pick up mid-track. You look where he's riding. Danny's building speed up mid-track, and that's where he wants to be. Obviously, he's made the move on the inside. If he just cleared Sam, he would have drifted up to mid-track and disappeared. But you can't stop contact. There's always going to be contact, because at some point in 4 laps over 15 heats, there's going to be riders in the same position as, Simon would probably want to be in the same position as Nigel at some point in the meeting. And at that point, you're going to come together. So if you come together, there's going to be contact one way or another. Some riders look for contact and some, don't want the contact. Obviously, some are really clean. Others will hustle you and put you under pressure and put you in that position simply by riding that close to you and that hard to you. But yeah, they'll give you a little nudge. You're never going to stop that. And yes, we see riders get injured, which we don't want, but you also still need the contact, because it does make for better meetings. And it gets riders fired up as well, doesn't it? Simon will tell you, we've been in meetings that Simon's had come on, on the end of a couple of probably naughty little challenges, and it fires him up, because then he'll go the rest of the meeting. He's superb, just that bit of anger, that bit of fire in your belly. So you still need it. It needs to be there.
Thank you, Carol.
It's racing. In the end of the day, it's racing, and everybody's racing for the same bit of track, really, aren't they? Especially from the starts. Everybody's trying to get to the same place, so there's always going to be a bit of contact, a bit of elbowing and such like. It's just nature of the game.
That's it, Nigel.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch the final. This is my favourite one, in the sense that this actually made me shudder when I seen it. This was Kyle Howarth's charge on Jason Doyle a little bit later on. I did laugh later when I think it was Stuart Dixon said on camera that Kyle claimed that he didn't touch Jason, but I think the TV footage is undeniable. which we'll get to shortly. You got to admire Jason. You know, he's had lots of injuries. He's had plenty of injuries this season. Never mind in the past. So who wants to tackle that one first? To me, to your point, I'm not saying there's any malice in that. I'm sure there's not. I know Kyle well enough to know that wouldn't be the case. But there's full on contact. I mean, Jason gets a right shove there, right?
Yeah, he's gone. You know, Carl's gone he's gone to make a gap. He's gone to make sure that, you know, if he's going through it, you know, Doyle's going down. He's making a gap for him and Dougie, isn't he, at that point?
Absolutely. Simon, only because you're a current rider, what's your views on that one?
Again, Kyle excluded, right decision. I think the ref actually had a very good meeting, to his credit. But again, you know, Doyley's come off gate 1 and he's come out of turn 2 and he's on the fence. You know, I don't think he probably expected Thompson there. But Kyle's gone deep off the first corner, cut back, and I think Dougie probably didn't expect Kyle to come through the middle of him. And he's probably turned left a bit, and Doyley's going to turn in. Doyley's like a Nicky P, really. He's hard. You don't give Doyley an inch, but he's hard. But we all knew what was going to happen. But yeah, again, playoff Speedway, that's what you want. You need a little bit of controversy. We're not, you know, look at the Jake Allen, Charles Wright situation the other week. It adds fire to the sport.
It does.
We go do that, anything like that now, we have to be careful what we say on social media because we all get lynched for it. It's all right for fans to slate us, but as soon as we call them a W or a T as well, we all get fined and banned. And, you know, we're all here just to try and earn some money and put an entertaining show on. So, yeah, but no, listen, nothing in it. Kyle's not like that again. You know, some riders are well known for it. But Kyle's not. Just hard, fair racing, which is what everybody wants. But, yeah, right decision, I'm afraid. Kyle gone.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, hard, determined, fair racing. And to Simon's point, you know, the referee, I think it was Seth Perkins, you know, didn't do a bad job under a lot of pressure. Let's be honest. You know, all eyes, all focus is on that one man to watch back a few video replays and make the right decision. One question I did want to ask was, we've talked about, you know, there's different shades of grey. There's contact and there's contact, like we've talked about. But how much does a rider's individual determination not to come off the bike? How much did that feature or figure in a rider's ability to withstand even relatively heavy challenge and stay on the bike?
Some can stay on, some can't they? It's not so much the rider. It depends on each situation's different, isn't it? How you get caught, whereabouts on the track you get caught. You know, you're not going to get caught in the middle of the turn, are you? And somebody comes steaming up the inside of you, because if you don't get off, you're going through the fence, aren't you? So, you know, you're going to get off, aren't you, to self-preservation. I don't know. Doyley's not one to go down easy, is he? He doesn't get off easy, doesn't Doyley? He's an hard man. So he'd got no choice but to go down, had he? Again, it was either go down or he'd have gone through the fence, wouldn't he?
Exactly.
You know, just how it was. Some riders go down easier than others, as we've said, haven't we? Everybody's said it, Carl, Simon. Some go down easy. Some will take a bit of a shove.
But listen,
and the thing is, the small crashes sometimes are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen Freddie Lindgren, that crash he had in the Grand Prix where he hit the first panel of the fence, got up and walked away. I've seen lads, and like Carl will tell you, like when I was with Peterborough, I've seen lads just slide off and you think, come on, mate, up you get. You're in the rerun. You know, your bike's fine. And they shipped off to hospital and you're like, what's the matter with him, Carl? Oh, mate, he's broke his leg or he's done his arm or a collarbone. And it's like, wow, it's not, you know what I mean? I've had little ones and you kind of think, Jesus, that hurt. And then you go flat out in the fence, you get up and you walk away and people say, well, how'd you get up from that? Well, it just is what it is. You don't get on that bike to crash. Simple as that.
Yeah. But listen, I enjoyed that. Thanks for the discussion on that. It was good just to put some incidents that we see at most meetings under the microscope a little bit, and have a kind of insight from a rider's perspective as to some of the whys and wherefores. Nigel, you mentioned earlier on about back in the day some argy-bargy and very obvious physicality, and we have a new feature that we're launching tonight, reheat history, where we're going to have a look at some heats or some incidents from yesteryear, and we will maybe next week have a look at the Los Angeles World Final in '82, because there's a fantastic camera shot down the home straightaway, as Sam would say, or Ronnie might say, and it's Penhall and Carter absolutely knocking lumps out of each other going down the straight. And now sometimes that probably happens today, Simon. I'm not sure, but supporters don't. You often see that. If you're standing on the home straight or the back straight, you don't necessarily see riders bumping off each other going down the back straight, or I don't anyway. Maybe it's my eyesight, but Carter and Penhall in '82 was the epitome of physicality, I think.
Good job it was in America.
Well, yeah.
I don't know, if you put Nico Cavati and Ulrich Ostergaard together, there's plenty of bumping.
Where is Ulrich Ostergaard, Carol Johnson? We haven't seen them since episode 1, incidentally.
I know.
Yeah. Listen, a brief pause. Do you follow the 360 Speedway Facebook page? Latest numbers show that we are followership is increasing by the day, by the week. We're now at 1.1 thousand, 1,100 of you follow our Facebook page. Thank you very much for doing so. If you haven't yet clicked on that little follow button on our Facebook page, please do so. Remember, we're also on TikTok, Instagram, and we do a little bit on X as well. And of course, as you know, we have our own YouTube channel where we have at least 24 hours back-to-back, wall-to-wall discussion topics over the 26 weeks. Right, listen, if you are watching on YouTube, as probably most of you are, do nothing, don't go anywhere, don't touch a thing. Make sure you watch Fans Pulse Lap 2. That's part 2 of episode 26. It will auto start shortly, and we're going to be talking about some of your comments on our 360 Facebook page.